Hi, Patty here from Grounds for Discussion podcast. I'm on location at the Street Side Studio 7, located inside Deja Blue House of Coffee. And I'm with Cass from Exquisite Soaps and More. She is a woman business owner and has been in business for, Cass?
It will be 5 years in February, so that's coming up.
5 years. So tell me, how did your journey start? Like, what was the very beginning of the journey and what brought you here?
Sure. So it all started with my two little cousins who I consider more of nieces. And they had pretty bad eczema and they just couldn't get a handle on it. So their mom was like, we need to figure something out. So she was low key looking at videos for making handmade soaps.
So, in order to treat eczema holistically at home, she started looking at home remedies.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and they always recommended to use just like a goat milk, a gentle soap with no fragrances or anything like that. And little did we know, my other aunt, Irma, was actually also watching videos on soap making, and I think hers was more out of boredom. She was looking for a new hobby.
So, kind of at the same time that one aunt is looking at making stuff for the eczema, another is looking at making soaps too.
Correct.
Oh my gosh.
She actually happens to have really dry skin too. Not quite eczema, but also the dry skin. And for me, I walked into a crystal shop one day and I saw some goat milk soaps and they were beautiful. All the ingredients were very natural and I was like, okay, so something that's beautiful and also is very gentle and works on your skin. Perfect. Because I mean, you go to these other big box stores and it's pretty, but it's full of chemicals. And ours is pretty, but is also gentle.
So, from soaps, I know from personal use and experience that you have lip balms, you've got lotions, body butters. Oh, and I'm completely obsessed with a body spray that you have. It's so good. It's my absolute favorite. It's called Dancing Bears. And all of this you guys make at the shop.
Yes, yep. It started off with us making everything at home in our basement. Before that, it was at my house in our tiny little kitchen. We just had everything lined with soaps that we're curing. And it was to the point where my grandpa was like, okay, is this edible or is this a soap? Because they look like cupcakes or pies and cute stuff like that.
So I'm going to back you up to where you said that soaps were curing. I did not know that until I started visiting with you.
Sure.
How long does that process take? Does it vary from soap to soap, the different ingredients?
Sure. So it is pretty standard across the board. Soap should be cured anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. Technically, you can use them after 3 days. Some big companies, I don't know if I can say the name, rhymes with Rough Biddy. They push them out 3 days after, and that leaves you with a super soft bar that will not last long and may not be as moisturizing. So we actually try to cure ours for 6 whole months instead of 6 weeks.
6 whole months, that's pretty impressive. And I do have to say that I've used your soaps as well. So has Sean, my husband, and he loves them. He thinks they're great.
Awesome.
Yeah, we really enjoy having you next door. My pocketbook has definitely noticed, but your products, speaking of, are so worth it and priced so good. The prices are very reasonable.
Yes, I'm
and
glad
the quality
to hear
is
that.
exceptional.
That is great to hear because we buy the highest quality products that we can use, but we try to get you guys the best deal. So everything that is priced at our shop is already at the lowest we can really price it. So we try to give people our products and all this stuff that can help them at a good deal so that they keep wanting to come back, not just because of the price, but because it actually works for them and helps them.
So you guys have been in business 5 years, and you've been at 614 Broadway for how long?
Maybe, how long has it been? 7, 8 months maybe.
So prior to that, how were you getting your product out to the world?
So we were at first mainly just, we started our website in, I want to say, February 2020. And at first we were just doing online orders. Then we started discovering the world of craft fairs. And we got really deep into that. We would drive all the way to the cities to go to the really good ones. And honestly, sometimes it was not worth it. It was more in the gas and, you know, the food that you're eating that day than what we would sell. But it was still a way to build our customer base. So even here, sometimes we'll have people from the cities that come back to purchase from us.
How do you feel the transition from craft shows online to a brick and mortar has been?
It's honestly been amazing. So, like I said, it's always hit or miss with the craft fairs. Online, it's a little harder because you're trying to compete with all these other businesses that are, you know, on Facebook, on Instagram, and it's hard to catch people's attention. I guess everything is that it's a big market, but at the same time it's kind of small for brick and mortar places.
Sure.
So now that we're here at the new spot, it's almost a little easier to get customers because people will just walk by, be interested, and like, oh, I found my new favorite place, you know, instead of having to try to catch people online.
Sure.
But, yeah.
So transitioning from craft fairs to brick and mortar, are you glad you made the jump?
100%, yes. If we were still doing craft fairs, I don't think we would have as many products as we do, just because it is so hard lugging everything to craft fairs. I mean, we had a big van or a big SUV, and all the seats would be down, so we would only be able to take 2 people, you know, and everything was full of stuff. It was all very heavy, and then it was just so tiring, you know, going all that way and then still having to drive home, and then I still have to drive home. So it's just so much better having a store.
So craft fairs, brick and mortar, what has been in your experience with both? I kind of feel like the toughest thing with the craft fair, and I kind of get it because when we first started as well, we did a lot of vendor shows, craft, not necessarily crafty, but we'd bring our clothing, and at the time we were making our handmade jewelry, so we would bring that. And I imagine the toughest thing was loading product, unloading product at the event, and then setting up, tearing down.
Yes.
What's been the toughest thing about the brick and mortar?
I would definitely say the financial aspect of it, making sure you're making the rent. You know, we did not have to worry about that before with the craft shows at all.
Right, because with the craft show, you pay your fee, and you're done, and you know you paid it. I will definitely second that the toughest thing with the brick and mortar is that race starts every single month, and you have to figure it out.
Oh yeah, and
how to make it.
Non-stop.
No, it never ends.
Yeah.
It never ends, and it is super exhausting and really hard, but somehow we keep coming back, so I'm grateful for that. If you could tell the Alexandria community something about your business that you want to make sure, like, I really want to get this out there. For example, my big thing is we have house-made baked goods, and we have an in-house roaster. What about for you? Like, what's your big thing that you're super duper proud of?
I'm very proud that, first of all, we make all our own products. We do not buy anything anywhere. Nothing is pre-made. The other thing is that we do have products for, I could say, almost all ages. So it all started with, like I said, making things for my nieces who were young. Then it went to making creams for my grandma, you know, something for my 15-year-old sister, something for my 25-year-old self. So we really have something that can cover everyone. You'll find something for yourself, for your grandma, for your sister at our shop. And I think that's really great for the community because it's not just a store for a certain type of person. You know, we've got hair products face stuff. You can really go in there for anything.
That's very true when you say that. I find something every time I go in there, but yet if I went in there with a little cousin or a little friend, say they're 5, 6, they'd find something too.
Yes, definitely.
So what a fun thing for families, grandmas, granddaughters to go do.
Yeah.
Is to go and experience what you guys do at your shop,
Mm-hmm.
which I think it's so good. Product is really good. I'm super excited to have you guys next door. What do you see for Exquisite Soaps and More in even say this next year or even this next season that's coming? They call it the tourist season.
Sure.
We look forward to that, and then we don't look forward to it because it can be so busy, but that's like your bread and butter time.
Right.
What are you looking forward to? How do you plan to stock your inventory for that? Are you bringing new fragrances and scents for summer? How do you guys handle that?
So it's kind of, how you said, it's a never-ending game that we're playing here. And so we do seasonal products. So right now we are in our winter season. We have our winter fragrances out. Before that we did have fall, which some of them we do integrate into the next one. So we'll be coming out with probably our spring collection first, which will then bleed into the summer collection. So we do have set fragrances that we have already, but it's also about creativity for us. So right now in the works, we're actually thinking of coming up with a fruit line. And I mean, that's not something that was planned or anything, but we are so excited for that.
I am so excited that you just shared that. Oh my gosh. So when you guys come up with new fragrances, how do you do it? Is it like, so here, when we come up with a new drink, and I'm talking about our baristas, our kids, my wonderful employees, it's just kind of in passing in conversation. Hey, don't you think this would be a good flavor to try? How do you guys come up with?
I think it's very similar, honestly. So sometimes we do mix fragrances. For example, we had like a rose gold and champagne soap. Those were two different fragrances, the rose gold and the champagne. And I swear you could smell the bubbles of the champagne in that soap. I loved it. But I think that's mostly how it goes. So we'll either go through like the list of fragrances from where we buy them from, and we'll order like the little samplers so we can get a whiff of them, see if we like them. Sometimes we'll even do like a sample batch, because sometimes you like the fragrance out of the bottle and the soap is completely different, or even in a sugar scrub it'll smell different. So some fragrances I love in a soap, but in a body spray it's like, don't get that near me.
So how do you come up with the names?
Oh.
Like, your names are so cute and clever, like the Dancing Bears.
Yes.
Which is currently, and I'm sure it'll remain on my favorites list, but now that you've shared you've got a summer line with the fruit coming up, that's going to be so good. How do you come up with a name like Dancing Bears? And it's so good. The fragrance is so amazing.
Yes. So Juniper Berry has been a fan favorite for a little bit, and we actually just rebranded it to Dancing Bears. And the only reason we did that was because we were in collaboration with the Andrea Theater, and they were doing the Anastasia play. So we came out with an Anastasia collection, and of course, to stay out of legal trouble, it was the Once Upon a December collection.
Sure.
And one of the lyrics in that song is Dancing Bears Painted Wings.
Oh,
and so
that's so sweet.
Me and Crystal were like, we really want to do something with the lyrics, because that was such a movie for us growing up. We just loved it, loved the song, and we stuck with Dancing Bears. So sometimes it pulls inspo from something like that. Other times it just has to do with like the notes that are in the fragrance, or sometimes we're just feeling goofy, and one of our soaps is named Groovy Mermaid, because it looked like 70s colors.
Yeah.
So sometimes it is just creativity being pulled from lyrics or books or something like that, or it'll just be basic, something similar to the fragrances, because sometimes they'll be like, well, I think we had one called Neon something, and they're like, well, what fragrance is this? And I'm like, nope, I get that. We should.
Right.
But yeah.
So, where you are now to where you started, did you see yourself in a brick and mortar from the beginning of your adventure?
Um, Maybe in my delusional head, yes. I cannot speak for my mom or my aunts, but since I was young, I mean, I don't know if you saw that TikTok I posted about my aunt and I, how we always talked about opening up some kind of shop. And
So I'm going to sneak in here real
yeah.
quick to give you a plug. You're on TikTok. How are you on TikTok? What's your handle out there? Because I
Oh.
did see that video and my heart was like, oh my gosh, that is the sweetest story.
Yeah.
What's your handle out there?
Yeah, so we are Exquisite Soaps and More on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Pretty basic.
Yeah.
I think we're on Snapchat too. I'm trying to learn how to post on there where other people besides my friends can see it, but
I know.
we'll get there.
Right,
But
right.
Exquisite Soaps and More across the board.
Good,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad about that. So, you post your TikTok and tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so I remember me and my aunt, we were only 3 years apart. So we grew up more like sisters, and that's why I say my little cousins are more like my nieces. And we didn't actually share a bed. We had our own beds, but we preferred to share a bed because we would just be up chatting all night, you know.
So, needless to say, you guys are pretty tight knit.
Yes,
Close
definitely.
family.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we actually wanted to open up a coffee shop. I loved coffee, she loved baking. So I was like, perfect, I'll make the coffee, you make the sweets. And, you know, like I said in the video, life happens that, you know, she moved to Texas, I stayed in Minnesota. Eventually we got back together and now she's back in Minnesota, thankfully. And she has been for a while. And so it's just crazy to see my little dreams coming true. And I just didn't even see it coming. Like, we didn't even think our soap stuff was going to be a business. We thought it was just going to be for us. And then people around us were like, oh, like, would you sell me that? Like, oh, I want to try this. Can I buy it? And my mom was just like, oh, should we get an LLC? And we were like, haha, yeah, totally, not thinking it would happen or thinking we would talk about it more. Next thing you know, she's like, here's the paperwork. You got to sign this. You got to sign that.
Oh my gosh.
And we're like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh my gosh, I better get the Facebook, going.
So mom kind of took the bull by the horn and
yes.
let's go, we can do this.
Definitely. Yeah. And she's always been more interested in, so like me and Crystal love the fragrance oils, but she loves the very earthy essential oil fragrances. And I mean, both of them sell really well.
Yes, I have to tell you, your mom and I had a fun conversation about patchouli.
Oh, sure.
And how she really, really loves that. She shared so much that I didn't know. So you guys do really know your stuff.
Try to.
Right. So, I've always, since you moved in next door, yay us, and every product that I use, like I said, it's so good. Like this, like you said, the soaps don't fall apart. The body sprays are amazing. I have to say, I'm going to go back to Dancing Bears because it's my absolute favorite fragrance. There's some like glitter in that spray.
So originally we did put mica, it's mica what you're seeing, in all of them. And kind of backtracking to the craft fairs, another one of the things that was not great about that was the temperature changes and everything. So in the summer, things would get kind of hot, so like our stuff would go bad a lot faster. And we learned that the body sprays being out in the sun actually, of course, should have known this maybe, changed the chemistry in there and it would smell different.
Right.
So someone was like, oh, I love this tester. And they bought the body spray. They're like, this does not smell the same.
That makes perfect sense that it would do that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so to try to stay a little more natural, we took the micas out and we only added it in for this special one.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Even that element about it, it just makes, not only does it smell really good, which then for me, it enhances my mood. And you just feel a little extra when the body spray you're spraying has some sparkle.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, I think maybe we'll think about adding it back into certain ones.
Sure.
What I wish would happen is when it's just sitting on there, like you can see it, but you really got to shake it up to see it. And
I could see it. So when I went in and picked up a bottle, and Angelica had already had it.
Oh, sure.
And it smelled so good. I was like, dang, girl, what you wearing today? And so Angelica's my niece who works at our coffee shop. she had that on, and she said, "Oh, I got it from Exquisite next door. It's Dancing Bears." And she said, "It's really pretty. It's got like sparkle in there." And so when I went, I could see it. And maybe because I knew, I don't think
Right,
so
yeah.
though, but I could see it sitting there.
Sure.
Yeah, so I was really excited to grab that.
Yeah.
So I want to call attention to the other stuff that you guys do, and you have to tell me, how did you incorporate soaps, lotions, body butter, lip balm, foot balm? I mean, what don't you guys do in terms of self-care? You are doing these amazing cups.
Yes, they're so cute.
Find us on Instagram, Grounds for Discussion, and I will tag Exquisite. We're going to get a close-up of these cups. These were custom to my logo here on the boutique side of things, and I just love them because it's me. It's my signature color. My new logo that we developed for Street Style kind of incorporated all the things that we do here, from coffee to fashion to my personalized cups. So how did you guys do this?
Well, when we were first starting, it was going to be soaps and jewelry, actually. So that's where the more came from, because my aunt Irma, one of her current hobbies was making pretty little bracelets or earrings or even the resin stuff. So she would make resin earrings. And so I think even one of our very first posts on Facebook is like a bracelet, and it was Harry Potter themed, and it was like, coming soon. And we never sold the bracelet.
Oh no.
I think we maybe did at the first couple craft fairs, but it just wasn't something that really picked up. And I think, so my aunt Irma was also doing the cups, but with resin. So they weren't these really pretty slick ones. They were still really nice ones that she made, and I have all the ones she had made me before, because she used to be able to wrap like fabric, like any fabric you wanted, and then cover it in resin. And those were so pretty. I think maybe we'll revisit those in the future, in the next couple years. I think we just maybe didn't have the right equipment for that. But
how did you learn all this? Anyways, so you're right. The cup is smooth. There's no raised anything on here. Beautiful. I use mine every single day. I take it in and out of the shop. I have it in my cup holder, in the truck, and it holds up so well.
It does.
How did you learn all this? I'm always curious. I would love to do this.
YouTube videos, honestly. I think we learned almost everything through YouTube videos, except for our soap making stuff. We did have different sources for that, but almost anything else we do, the resin, even like some of the smaller stuff like the lip balms, bath bombs, and stuff like that, we do watch an insane amount of YouTube videos for those.
So definitely self-taught, but so professional, in my opinion. Where do you want to see your business grow? Do you want to continue with the lines that you guys are carrying? These amazing cups, which, by the way, they custom make cups. I hope I'm not speaking out of line, but check them out, you guys. If there's a special event coming up for someone in your life, or you want a personalized cup, when they made me this, it was beyond any expectation that I had. It just blew my mind at how good it turned out. What do you see for Exquisite Soap coming up? More cups, more of the same, or do you want to pull something else in at all? I'm really digging deep here.
Yes. So I think we're very happy with everything we have right now. I think if anything, we'll be adding things. So I'm really into the crystal stuff and stuff like that. So I hopefully for 2025, I want to do some work more with that. So I did have an amethyst soap and a rose quartz soap. So I made it with certain intention, and it had a little crystal in there, that it would either fall out when you're done with the soap or halfway through the soap that you can keep. And I do want to work with more crystals. Of course, I got to find the ones that are not water soluble. And then we also have these molds that I'm working with for bath bombs that are the different chakras.
Oh, fun.
And stuff like that. But for cups, we do have other designs that are astrology designs, and I think Angelica saw mine and she was like, you should have a whole astrology line. And I was like, that's a great idea.
That is a
I think
great
we will
idea.
go with that. But if anything, we will just be adding stuff. I mean, I've told you about our lash serum that I want to release. We have a finishing spray.
Hold the phone. This lash serum. I'm going to expand on that.
Sure.
Now that you mentioned it,
Yeah.
this lash serum is incredible. So, true story. You came into the shop.
Yes.
You're standing across the counter from me, and I'm like, what the heck? Did you get lash extensions?
Yeah.
Did you get your lashes done? And I'm thinking you went and had them put on one by one. And you're like, nope, I'm trialing a lash serum. And I literally freaked out because they were so curly and beautiful and thick and long. Yeah. So do tell more about this lash serum.
Well, I formulated it myself with just a lot of research into other lash serums that were popping off on TikTok Shop, and then I would just read a bunch of these ingredients and I'm like, oh, that's not necessary, or that's not necessary, or that has very little of this, that's not necessary. And I was actually reading that a lot of these lash serums they were selling can actually hollow out your eyes.
Oh my gosh.
And that's one of the ways your lashes look longer. And I was like, whoa, okay, well,
that's terrifying.
I have access to all the great ingredients that go in these. So I just came up with a little recipe and I started testing it on myself. And, you know, every night, even sometimes in the morning, I would put it on because it didn't really, I don't wear too much eye makeup, so it didn't affect too much of it. But yeah, just day and night, I would try to apply it twice a day, and I still do. I'm almost done with it. And I think I might get a couple more test people, and then it'll be released sometime this year.
You heard it here first, folks. If you are in the neighborhood and want to maybe test out her lash serum, contact Exquisite Soaps and More. I'm telling you, amazing, amazing change in her lashes. She's a beautiful girl anyways, and when I hadn't seen you for a little bit, and when you came back, I was like I said, I freaked, like, what in the heck? And when you said it was your lash serum, oh my gosh, blew my mind.
Yeah, and I was so happy to hear it because it's a little, you see yourself every day that it's a little hard to notice those differences. So when you mentioned it, I was just like,
it's working. That's so good. So Cass, I am so grateful that you are next door, our neighbors. You've been so easygoing, so good to work with. I call and say, hey, I want a personalized cup. You make it happen. How quickly can you turn these cups around? Let's say someone wants one for a special gift, anniversary, whatever. How quickly can you turn them around?
Sure. So it depends if they want one completely designed by me. So I'm working with a blank slate. They give me inspo pics or pictures they want in it.
Okay, so hold on. They can take personal pictures.
Yes.
And then you can add those to the cup.
Correct.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And we first learned about that when, sadly, my dog passed away a couple years ago, and my mom surprised me with, I guess, a memorial cup, and it had pictures of him and me and a little saying on there. And we were like, whoa, okay, maybe we can do this for other people. And I mean, just recently, one of my friends passed away, and cups were made for his mom, and they were so beautiful. It had pictures of him and the family, and it was just really nice to be able to give her that little piece of happiness, you know.
That is an amazing gift. Like I said, I use my cup every day, so you know that they're seeing that cup and remembering her. So how nice is that? Where do you see the winter? Like like I've been down here. And the reason I say winter is out of the corner of my eye. This is not random. Out of the corner of my eye, I see all the snow that we got today. And I've been down here, this is what, our 8th winter. Did you guys adjust your hours? Are you staying, you know, what are you doing for hours this winter?
Sure. So since it's our first year open, we're still, I think, learning what's going to work best for us. We were open 7 days of the week originally, and we were open until 7, so we'd be 10:30 to 7 days a week. And it worked for a little bit in the summer. That was pretty good. Even when we were in our old location, that was pretty good too. But now that we are downtown and we're kind of getting the hang of things a little bit, we have changed our hours. I think Mondays and Thursdays we close early, and then the rest of the week we're open until 6 now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, there's a lot of learning that first. Actually, there's learning every day. It never ends. And you never quite get it right,
Mm-hmm.
but I think what matters is that you stay in the game, you stay in the hustle, and you
100%.
keep trying to figure it out.
Yes.
Are you glad that you went from the dream to reality? Like, what do you feel when you walk in your back door and you're unlocking? Like, to me, I'm still like, good. And we're going into year 9 this April. And when I walk through the back door, sometimes I'm like, how did I get here?
Right.
What in the world?
I think that pretty much the same thing. It's just I can't imagine anything else at this point. Every time if I unlock the door to bring the sign out, I'm just like, ugh, it's just such a giddy feeling because I didn't ever think we would be here. I mean, since a young age, I did know I eventually wanted to work for myself. I didn't know what that would be.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work at a restaurant and I was a waitress, and in my little waitress book, I had printed out and stuck on there something that said, oh gosh, what did it say? Like I'm the boss or a new boss or something like that. Where I just knew I would joke with my boss at the time, like one day I'm gonna buy the restaurant off you and I'm gonna be the boss. I hope you know that.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, that didn't end up happening, but it is a different feeling when I know I could do great work for other people. I was like, I want to do that great work for me,
Mm-hmm.
for the
Mm-hmm.
family. Hopefully, leaving something for the younger kids in our family. There's a lot of kids in the family, and I just want to be able to leave them something, whether they want it or not. When I'm old, and they can sell the business or they can work it if they want to. But hopefully, by then we'll have employees that'll be working
Right,
it.
right. So, Cass, speaking of when you get older,
Mm-hmm.
how old are you actually?
I'm 25. I will be 26 in February.
Oh, February what is your
February
birthday?
16th.
Okay, I'll have to. Oh my gosh. So Angelica's January 16th,
Oh, cute.
and you're February 16th.
Yeah.
I wish I knew someone that was March, April, May, June 16th, because I'm July 16th.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
Isn't that interesting? How fun. So, 25,
Mhm.
a young entrepreneur. Holy cow, kid. Um, and a woman business owner. Do you ever feel that there's, so here's how I'll say this. When I'm on Instagram
Mhm.
or social media and I'm scrolling through, a lot of the bios that I see are woman owned business or Latino owned business.
Mhm.
And I don't do that personally. Um, I'm just this chick
Sure.
trying to make it happen. How do you feel about being a young woman entrepreneur? Do you ever think about it? Like, how think about it?
I don't think I think about it too much. I think when we were getting into the game, we were learning like, hey, sometimes if you do tack on, woman owned, Latina owned, it will maybe bring in a different audience or it'll catch people a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like once you're in an actual store, that doesn't really matter too
Mm-hmm.
much.
I would agree with you there for sure once you're in an actual store, because I have so many people that come in
Mm-hmm.
and I'm chatting with them and they'll say something like, oh, well, what's your boss going to think? And I'll be like, hold on, let me ask her. And I'll step away and then I'll come back and I'll say, you had a question for the boss?
Yeah.
So same thing. I don't really think about it. When people walk through the door, they don't know who the owner is. They don't
Right.
really, sometimes it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Your product, which yours does, should speak for itself.
I agree. Yeah. No, I definitely agree, and I can't wait to have my first. I want to talk to your boss.
Oh, I know.
I have not had that experience yet, but I am excited to have it.
That's a fun experience for sure. Yeah. So I think we're ready to wrap it up.
Okay.
I appreciate you coming and visiting with me. I've learned so much from you as a young entrepreneur. I watch you come in, I see your product, and I am thoroughly impressed with the attention to detail that you give. I open these products and they're wrapped and they're sealed. You guys really, really, really pay attention.
Yeah.
And it shows that you really like what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you love what you do.
Yes.
I would dare say you
Yes,
love what you do.
Definitely. There's definitely a big passion there. And like I said, a lot of it is creativity, but also going back to what you had said, that even just knowing that your body spray has that little bit of mica just gives you a little boost. And I feel like that's why I'm in this. That's a big reason why I'm in this, is having these products that are just products to take care of yourself, but it's also going to give you such a confidence boost.
Yeah, it really does. I sprayed it this morning as an example, and I get in the truck, and Sean and I ride in together every morning. We leave the house pretty darn early, and I can smell my Dancing Bears spray, and it smells so good. And I'm sitting there waiting, like, is he gonna notice? Is he gonna notice? And I say, hey, don't you think I smell good? And it does. It just gives me that, like,
yeah,
hey, I smell good.
Right.
I feel good, and I sparkle.
Yes.
Man, that's the bomb. So, Cass, I really do appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to watching you grow, to seeing what these next few years bring. I am always here for you if you need any help, any questions, venting sessions, because I know I come over and I'll vent. But I want to see you grow. That is kind of the main reason why I'm doing this podcast, is I want to see a light on what someone has to offer, to share, to say. And I hope that we can accomplish that. My husband and Thomas, our IT tech, can do that and bring a little more attention to what you do, because what you do is so good and so important. So, with that said, we're all done, I think. I'm learning the cameras. Let's be honest here. I'm learning the cameras. This is our second podcast. Cass was brave enough to join me here. And if we don't step forward, we'll never know. We'll never learn. We'll never grow. And we're here to grow. So please come out and stop by at 614 Broadway Street, Alexandria, Minnesota, downtown, and check out Exquisite Soaps and More. Say hi to Cass and check out her product. And you have to check out the Dancing Bears. Is it body spray?
Yes.
Yes. So good. And you'll sparkle. It's wonderful.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I think what you're doing is great with the podcasts, and I think you're so great for always helping me out. I mean, I know you said you're here for me for vent sessions, but I know I definitely come over a lot too.
Yeah, it's all good. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, Alexandria.